Hey there, everybody. How's it going? Hello, S. Hello, Joshua Miller. Bonjour, Geek Boy. How's it going, Dominic? Hello, everyone. Got a small crowd right now. I understand that there's a lot of people streaming right now, some bigger people, but I just wanted to go ahead and get going. So, let me go ahead and drop the StreamYard link and I'll pin that in case anybody wants to come up. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is, I've gotten started on my garden. If any of you have been, watching my most recent videos, um, you know, got the tiller out and did a whole bunch of hard work and got some really good stuff planted. Got some seeds going. I do have a couple seeds kind of started inside. I'll show you guys those here in a little bit. Uh, but yeah, I'm really happy that I got my garden going. We always kept a garden when I was a kid, and so I grew up on like a 2 acre property, and we had like a whole big back field in our backyard behind our in-ground pool, and the whole area was like a big old garden where we just grew everything. We had raspberries and asparagus and broccoli and cauliflower and lettuce and carrots and radishes and tomatoes and potatoes and cucumbers and watermelons and pumpkins and squash and gourds, and we had apple trees and we had cherry trees and we had all this stuff, and all that, as long gone. All those fruit trees are long, dead now, except that one of the cherry trees is still there, and my sister has now moved in on the property that I grew up on. She bought it from my parents, and she's turning it into like a whole homestead now with chickens, and she got two turkeys this year that they're going to grow up for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And like it's really cool what she's doing with it, but it's like I grew up gardening and I've always loved gardening, and plants and gardening and growing plants and growing food has always been a much bigger thing to me, uh than, like, we'll say, fish in this case. I had fish when I was a kid too, but I was never as big into the fish as like my brother was. I did enjoy the fish, don't get me wrong, but my brother was like really into fish a whole lot more than I was. And now into my adult life, bringing the plants into my fish tank and growing aquatic plants, like I've grown with a whole new love of keeping fish now. And that's kind of what made me start my YouTube channel was, I saw all these different fish people on YouTube, and I was like, I can do that too. But it's like, I don't want to just do fish. Like, I want to do much more than just fish. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe my gardening stuff won't get as much views, and like maybe my other stuff that I have planned won't get as much views, but that's okay. It's all right. Like, I'm just going to do me. I'm going to do my whole brand. Let me take another second here. I'm seeing a lot of people popping in. Hey there, Jeffrey Watts, Travis with Chalupa No Tomatoes. How's it going, my fish tanks? Mr. Manifesto, how's it going? Great to see everybody. Hey, Monster Fish Gal. Everybody just saying hello to everyone. That's what I love. So yeah, I love plants. I love gardening. I love keeping, fish and all that. Bob, aha! The better Bob than the Bob Steenfot. Bob Kaler, John McKenzie. Oh man, lots of people popping in now. That's good. That's good. So let's kind of walk around since nobody's really popping up, and I want to take a look at some of my stuff. So I was telling people that I have some seeds started. So let me flip my camera around here. On top of my aqua garden, I have, some Java moss in a cup. It's almost ready to put into another tank. We'll see what I want to do with that. Here's my seeds that I have started. I don't quite remember everything that I started. I know I started a couple peppers, and I think I started some shiso, which I hope this is the shiso. Let's see. What else did I start? I have to go look at my seeds now to go figure out what I started. Hold on a second. Hey, Radul. Jenny, how's it going, everybody? So let's see. I know I started a ghost pepper seed, and we'll see how that goes. I bought a nice ghost pepper plant. I know I started some of my own Thai dragon peppers too. What else did I start in there? I didn't start any pepperoncinis. I didn't start any dill. I cannot remember what seeds I started for the life of me. But I got some seeds started. Wish I could remember what they were. I should have wrote it down. But this seems to be like some type of herb because it's quite leafy. These two are most likely peppers. Man, I really cannot remember what else I started. That's sad. Crazy sad. So speaking of garden and aqua garden, I know, right, Tam? I cannot remember. So I'm sorry for the glare. It's just gonna kind of happen. So the fungus is still growing. I haven't added enough sand still to cap all the dirt that's in there, but the fungus that's growing is feeding these mollies. So these are actual like Poecilia sphenops mollies. Most of the Dalmatian style mollies that you see in the local stores and stuff like that, they are white and black, and they have a really long kind of sail fin style dorsal fin, whereas these guys are black and silver with a blue iridescence that comes out. And these guys have been locally bred here in like the St. Louis area by a guy for 50 years. And so I have 5 little babies of them, and I'm going to grow them out, and I'm going to continue breeding them here in the same area. And who knows, maybe I'll start selling them online because they're really cool. And when they get bigger, that blue iridescence is just amazing. Hello, Adele. But the fungus and everything that's growing is what's feeding these guys. I've had one in here for a good long time. I just got 4 more to kind of like help maintain it that little bit more. But I have not fed this tank once. there's been a molly in here that's been in here for like 3 months or so and has not been fed once, has just been eating what's been whatever growing inside the tank, whether it be fungus, algae, other little things that are in there. So it's my little experiment tank. I started it as an aqua garden. It kind of failed as a garden. The fungus grew and basically killed all the plants. I've, added some more since then, but it's working as this experiment. So, and I barely do any water changes on this tank too, just kind of putting that out there. So this is just kind of my experiment tank. So you'll have to kind of keep tuning in if you want to learn about these mollies and how they're doing and stuff. But the one that I've had in here, if I can find which one it is, there, that one that's eating right there. Like, look how fat it is. Like, it's nice and fat. So it's not starving at all. They're eating that fungus. In fact, it looked worse yesterday. So adding the 4 more in there, like, they've already cut down on it. Who knows? They might end up eating all the fungus away to where I might have to start feeding the tank. My wife calls all my tanks science experiments. I mean, they are kind of experiments in their own key. She might be with Fry. It's possible. There's only been a male in there for like 1 day, and she was fat before. But I don't think she's big enough for Fry. She might be. I want to say overall length is like 1.5 inches, maybe. So she could be with Fry. But man, look at her just picking at that fungus, like cleaning it up. Molly's being Molly's. I like a lot of people have their fish. Like mine is still betta, I think, but man, I've got like this new crazy love for Molly's because they're awesome. And Tundra just wants to know what's going on. How sweet thing. I'm not body shaming at all. I'm celebrating the fact that I'm not feeding her and she's fat. Like PHAT fat. But, speaking of how, bettas are my favorite fish, check out this little pair that I found. So we got shipped, betta the other day, and I saw these guys, and I was like, no way did we get a perfect pair of a male and a female of a blue betta with a green iridescence. Like, their coloration just reminds me of the Ariel's tail from The Little Mermaid. Like, let me grab this flashlight and see if I can show the color better. There. Man, this is tough to do with trying to. There. And yeah, the male is gorgeous. Oh. Yeah, Emily, I did it. I got them. They're really, really nice. And the camera's just not picking it up quite right, but it's blue and then it just shines green. And they're both like it. So it's just like, oh man. So I got the pair. The female is still a little small, so I'm going to grow her out a little bit more. I just bought these guys today. Like literally brought them home like an hour ago. I got another 5.5 gallon tank that I'm gonna do the breeding in, but either way they're gonna stay in the cup at the store, so they'll be fine in the cup for a little bit until I, figure out exactly what I want to do with them. I don't want to add her into my sorority because she might just get killed or stressed out or whatever. So they don't want to do that. And then I could, go ahead and get that 5.5 gallon tank set up for him and go ahead and put him in there. But I'm not sure. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with them yet. But either way, if I didn't buy them, they were going to be sitting at the cup in the store anyway. So what's the difference with me bringing them home or just keeping them at the store? But yep, that's a future breeding project that I have. Be looking for baby bettas here, maybe around winter time. I'm not quite sure how long it's going to take me to grow her out. She's not like super small, but I still just feel like she's a little too small to breed. But she's got a mouthful of fry too, and I don't want to let her go. She's acting aggressive towards the others, and then like these bigger ones are probably gonna kill the smaller ones, and though they're not really messing with these smaller ones a whole lot. And I'm running out of space. I need more fish tanks. Or I don't know what to do with these babies because hey there, Dave. How's it going? Hey, Chewy. Yeah, those bettas do have very nice genetics. Yeah, I'm running out of space. I need more tanks because I got all those babies. I got all these babies. And they're all just different sizes. But I'm trying to save up my money and I'm trying to get a 125. Because the 55 that I have in my living room, though I love it, I really love the setup. The fish are all doing fine. African cichlids and the rainbow shark, everybody's doing great. They're hungry, of course, like they always are. Jackie! Oh my goodness, hi! How are you guys doing? Gosh, I haven't talked to you guys in so long. You need to come over to Julie's again. Yes, Merdul, thanks for sharing my Patreon as I'm talking about being broke, trying to save up money here. But yeah, I want to, get a 125 to replace the 55. I got enough space in my living room. I want to give these fish more space, and then I want to, pack more fish in there and, get even more of a rainbow because there's so many fish and I love them all. And when I was telling, Joshua Miller in the Father Fish's Discord is, I have, a whole bunch of cichlids, but I have them from all three lakes, and there's all like three types of cichlids in here as well. There's Mabuna, there's peacocks, and there's at least one hap. I have another hap that I'm growing out in the other tank with my babies. I have an electric blue ollie or Ailey. I'm not sure how you say it. It's AHLI, the electric blue hap. But I want to put them all together. I want to add some more of my babies in there, and then I'll have an extra 55. that I can stack on top of that other 55 that my babies are in and have more room for babies to grow out in. So I need, a 125. That's what I'm saving up for. Exactly. It's a great way of being monetized. There's several different tiers, but if you sign up for the top tier, you get to start making decisions for me. So it's a pretty interesting deal. You get to decide like what fish I get. You get to decide what plants I get for my garden. Stuff like that. So, how's my Budgie doing? She's doing well. Let me turn the light on. She's doing really well. Being super friendly, super talkative. I got her a whole lot of more toys and stuff now, so she has, stuff to do. She's got her cuddle bone. I got her a little bath and stuff. I've been taking her out, more and more. And she's getting like super used to me now. She still doesn't really like to come out here in like the living room. And I don't blame her because, the cat's here and stuff. She feels more comfortable in the other room because that's where I got her and like kept her, but when she was more injured. And so I can take her out in there. She doesn't really care. And I can take her out in the bathroom super easily too because she likes the mirror. I've been trying to teach her to get a whole lot of, different sounds. I have caught her, making some different R2D2 sounds already, which is cool. And she likes to scream a lot. I'm not sure if she's actually trying to mimic David Draymond like I've been trying to teach her, or if she's just, kind of screaming. But, I like to scream too, so she could just be mimicking me. Hit the like or else, says the Codfather. Yes, Lazuli is a sweet bird. How's it going, George? Lazuli with an I. There's a lot of different pronunciations of that word. You can, hear lazuli or lazuli or lazuli. Kind of depends, where you're from. If you're like going off of like a Latin type pronunciation or like an Egyptian type pronunciation. But I've always liked it as lazuli, so that's just how I'm going with it. Tree 77. How's it going? George, you got some new stuff? Awesome. I got new stuff too. Did you missed it, George? I showed my beta earlier. I'm gonna screw it. I'm gonna show my beta again. What am I talking about? It's my stream. I can do what I want. But yeah, George, you'll like this. So at my job, we got shipped in a whole bunch of beta. We got some really cool ones, some awesome dragon scale ones. We have some that are like super metallic, like they're actually like shiny and they look like silver. But these guys, we got a male and a female that are a perfect pair. They're blue with a little bit of like a green iridescence that comes out. And the male and the female, they're both beautiful. They're both crown tail. They both have the same coloration. It's like they were meant to be, man. So I had to get them. And so I got another betta breeding project coming up. Oh, yep, there's a convict cichlid in there. That one was growing way faster than my other ones in here, so I separated it. And because Spider-Man died, so I wanted to put another fish in there. But yeah, those are awesome betta. But okay. So betta sorority looking fantastic, of course. Harlequin Rasboras, the new edition, they're looking great. They're not quite schooling as much as I would like. I'm probably going to get a few more. Maybe that will help. But they're just super comfortable in the tank, and they're just kind of all going and doing their own thing. This one guy here loves to, catch the current and just, ride the waves like Crush. Dude. Thanks, George. This is like this tank is a work of art, man. I ain't even gonna lie. I love this tank. I put so much work into it. I've put so much plants into it. I've lost so many plants. I've added new plants. Like I've had battles with this tank, but mostly most of this tank has been like taking care of itself once I got it going. See, and that's good to know, Merdul. So I've been pondering an idea, and I'm just not quite sure how I feel about it. I've been thinking about getting a Baisher or a Bashir, or however you want to pronounce it. I actually like to say biker, even though I completely know that that's wrong. Like, it's still fun to call them bikers. Um, but I've been thinking about getting one and adding it to this tank to kind of grow it out. Um, I just don't know how it would do with the beta and everything else. Like in my experience, Fishers aren't really that aggressive per se. They just, swallow things. And so if it's gonna fit in their mouth, it's gonna swallow it most likely. But thanks, Adele. It does look really good. There's a little bit of a dusting on all the plants. So, and I'm keep getting this film on the surface. So I'm probably going to do a really nice water change on it here in the next couple days. How are musicians similar to bettas? They're better than everything else. That's how. I when I got a whole bunch of plants, I had an extra basil that I didn't want to add into the garden. So I cleaned all the dirt off and just kind of stuck the roots, had it kind of, wedged, held up by the piece of wood that goes down in the tank. And it seems to be, it's been a couple days and it's transitioning well. So both are scale fighters. Okay, that one works too. That one works too. But yeah, the beta, no, the basil is transitioning quite well. This Marble Queen Pothos is doing awesome. I trimmed it at the tip, and so I got these new growths down here at the bottom, and it's continuing to grow at the top. It was going this way, and so I bent it around, and as it continues to grow, I'm going to try and keep it going along the wall. And then once it goes around this way, I'm going to try and, get it to grow around the tank. We'll see if I can do it or not. It's going to, take a while, but that's what I love about plants. You know, plants you can more or less manipulate, you know, to do what you want them to do. You know, that's kind of what bonsai work is. Bonsai is more about the pot. Like the term bonsai has to do with the pot itself. I believe it means like shallow pot or like growing in a shallow pot. So it, but everybody thinks of bonsai as, you know, the shaping of the plant, and that's involved with it. But that's like, I love shaping plants and stuff, and I just love plants. My aloe is doing awesome. I've had this aloe for a couple years. It's huge. Pothos growing off of this one. Got a nice looking cactus here. When it gets a little warmer, I'll be taking these guys outside and I'll be putting them up front and doing what I love to do with succulents, which is doing like a heat stress on them. When you basically like you give them a whole lot of light and you like barely water them, and it kind of stresses the plants out just a little bit to where you get these really nice colors. So I've turned this aloe from like a green into like a mean looking gray with red tips, and it looked awesome, so awesome. Like, I mean, the aloe looked evil, and I loved it. And you know, over winter now, it's turned back to its kind of greenish colors, and it's lost most of its spotting, and all the red is completely gone away. I love basil. Basil is a great plant. Basil is like the best plant, and I'll get into that here a little bit later. But yeah, this is this is Billy Bob Thornton, my cactus. Um, he has the name Billy Bob Thornton because it's actually a Bob Jr. So I got this cactus from a trimming from my friend's cactus named Bob. So it was Bob Jr., but he didn't like being called Bob Jr. He likes Billy Bob Thornton, so we're going with that. Uh, Haworthia is a really great succulent too. This is a really good plant to grow like in a bioactive like bearded dragon or Euromastix or like a sand boa type scape. It does well in sandy substrates, doesn't need a lot of water. Like really you could, you know, get by only watering this thing like once every 2 weeks. But if you do that, like, you know, give it a nice deep watering. And you know, it does really good in high heat, high light. It's a you know, it's a desert plant. That's what it is. This guy's doing really good. I'm got my first new leaf shooting up since I've had it. It's like sharp on the tip. Can't remember exactly what type of palm this is. It's a type of palm tree. Hey there, Patty. How's it going? Tori, I missed you in there. Hey, how's it going? So, yes, crabs need at least brackish water. There are freshwater crabs, but most crabs need like at least brackish water. Hermit crabs and fiddler crabs and stuff actually mostly need a source of fresh water and salt water because they need to like submerge and swim in salt water, but then they also sometimes drink from a freshwater source. So brackish is kind of like a balance between the two, but really it's they need both. They need fresh and salt water. I got this rabbit's foot fern. It's a black rabbit's foot specifically. I have a plan to eventually do like a terrarium setup. So I'm getting little bitty like tropical plants and stuff. This is a coleus. I took a couple trimmings. I'll be making like a future video, or I'll be making a video in the future about making trimmings and basically cloning plants. So I'm working on my first clone right now, and once that one's basically finished and I get a whole another one set up, I'll be basically doing like a step by step and showing you, step A, step B, and step C, all with the different levels of, cloning your plants. Brackish tank is doing okay. I need to do more water changes on this thing more often or something, or just really get in there and get at this algae. I'm just getting this like green slime algae that's growing all over the Java fern. It's suffocating the Java fern. I might just tear out all that Java fern and replace it with new stuff. I don't know. I could probably clean it all up. But the mangroves are doing really good. That one's like completely hit the substrate now with its roots, as has that one. That second big root is getting close to hitting the substrate. And then there's a third root too that's coming down. But that one's being completely supported by this root. Like there's nothing holding it up. It's just resting on the side of the lid there and being supported by that. And the only extra light it's getting is a little bit that comes in from the window, where I have a little baby aloe plant that I took off of that big one on the window too. I don't have any like new growth vertically on this one. I got a little bit starting to shoot up from this one here, but this one, as you can see, like I got a whole secondary set of leaves, and it's starting to give me a tertiary set of leaves, which is awesome. So this one right here is getting the most sun because of the angle that the sun, gets in my house. My house is facing northeast, I believe. So it's just kind of the way the sun kind of comes in when it rises. But I'll eventually be getting another like light fixture on top, probably. Not quite sure, but that mangrove is doing awesome. Got lots of roots. It's still being supported by a little a plant weight that I just have kind of wrapped, but it's really easy to unbend that, and probably at any time now I could just basically take that off and the plant probably wouldn't even shift at all, which is awesome. All the baby Africans in there still all hiding from me. I keep taking their friends away. There's other than all my, mixed peacock babies, the OB strawberry cross, there's this sunshine peacock, and then there's the electric blue Ollie. Their colors aren't super great. This tank is kind of covered in algae. I got, everything is due for a water change. I've been kind of getting behind on stuff. But chili rasboras and Habrosis Cory. There's some Amano shrimp in here too. If I see one, I'll zoom in on it. But this tank is doing really good. Substrate is just that, black Petco sand, the Imaginarium sand. I struggle with that word so much. The Magitarium. Um, it's doing great. I've trimmed the Rotala green in the back twice now, and it's just spread out like crazy. Got plenty of new growth on that Java Fern. Got plenty of new growth on both of those little Anubias, Nana Petites, and lots of new shoots on the Dwarf Sag. So, I just used a little bit of Easy Green at the beginning before I added fish, and then once I added fish, like I think I used a little bit of Easy Green at the very start, and I haven't added any fertilizer in a while. Maybe I'll add a little bit more. I probably will here soon when I do my next water change. I'll probably add some fertilizer, but there's nothing in the substrate. The Dwarf Sag is doing great. The Rotala is doing great. In fact, it seems like every time I tend to pack my substrate with a whole lot more nutrients and stuff, my Sen plants seem to struggle. So this is, some of my best looking stem plants that I got in this little bitty 5-gallon tank. They're doing really good. And it's crazy too, because it's just those 3 little LEDs that come on the Aqueon Mini Bow 5. So it's growing those plants great. And I showed the Java moss earlier. That's my plan with the Java moss. I'm just making sure that there's no algae left from the tank that I pulled it out of. And it doesn't look like there's anything left. I mean, of course, algae rarely ever actually dies. So when I'm going to do like a nice big water change, probably add a little bit of moss, kind of coming up on this rock, and then add some more just kind of on this rock here. I think that'll kind of, not just add another shade of green within the tank, absorb more of those nutrients that are in the water column. And, it's going to do great in this lower light that's in this tank. So that's the plan for that one. Philodendron doing awesome. Extra rocks. Might use those in something in the future. King Bed is doing great. I had to clear off a lot of the frog bit on top. It grew over and, almost killed all my crypts in the back again. So that's what keeps happening with my crypts and why I can't get them to grow up into the back and fill in the back like I wanted them to, because the frog bit on top keeps killing it. But the Dwarf Sag is doing great. Sorry about that horrible glare. The Anubias is doing great. The Bucephalandra is doing relatively good. Had some algae issues with the tank. That's why I kind of also let the frog bit do its thing to kind of help naturally take over the algae. It's worked, sort of. Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing to do, Geek Boy. Just kind of store it. Java Moss barely needs any light, whereas algae really likes a lot of bright light and stuff. So if you just give it minimal light, or even keep it in a mostly dark area, it's totally fine for a couple weeks at least. Yeah, I've thought about doing that with the airline and stuff. I was before I deleted my Facebook and stuff, I was selling some Amazon frog bit off of Facebook locally. So I was kind of intentionally letting everything just kind of grow as it was. But I've been off Facebook for over a year now, and it's much better. But Or no, maybe no, it hasn't been over a year. No, I quit smoking over a year ago. I deleted Facebook 5 months ago. Yeah. Yeah, I did it for New Year's. That's what I did. Deleted Facebook on New Year's. Hey, Ricky. Y'all playing with my name in the chat. That's funny. Yeah, I got one of those names that it's kind of easy to manipulate, easy to make fun of, all that. I don't really care. I'm 31 years old. I'm well beyond letting stupid stuff like that get to me. But yeah, the fish room is looking awesome. Let me do a little pan here. Got room for more tanks. Like I said, once I get a 125, I'm building a double stand, and so that 55 is going to sit a little bit lower, and then I'll have another 55 on top of it. But man, I've kind of I wouldn't say wasted, but I spent a decent amount of money on these, aquarium stands just to, knowing well and like that I was most likely going to end up getting something else in the future anyway, because I just have limited space in this room and I need to start, double stacking everything like I've already kind of done here. But this is, one of those metal stands that you get from Petco for the 40 breeders. And I just took, two, two 2x6s or whatever, and just put them across the front and the back. And I have the 20 long just sitting right on it. And it's perfectly level. So there's not any, problems with it or anything at all. I definitely wouldn't recommend doing this sort of thing with, a lot bigger tanks and stuff. But when it comes to fish tanks, all the weight is supported by the corners anyway. They're made to be slightly raised in the middle. So that's just how they are. Hey there, Ian. How's it going? How's it going? Those mollies are so cool. Man, I can't wait to see what those mollies look like when they get bigger. It's going to be so great. But now, here, before I go outside. This guy's doing great. This is my oldest bed of fish that I have. He's awesome. He's like a year and a half that I've had him. I don't even know how old he was before. Probably, 3 to 6 months or so. I don't know how fast they gut load these betta most of the time, but he's really awesome. This tank has been completely taken over, and algae's growing everywhere. But the Java Fern in the back is doing great, and he's doing fantastic. So this tank is due for a rescape, so I'm just kind of letting it do its thing, and I'm going to be rescaping this tank. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it yet, but we'll see. And then this tank is doing great. The Java Fern is just like wow, so much Java Fern. Just I got great water for Java Fern, and then this is a 20 long. I got the lid that came with the LED type, so I have the one standard like day white, and then I have like the color enhancing red light on there. and it looks great, and it grows the hell out of that Java fern. But like I said, the substrates that I try and pack the nutrients into and stuff, like the stem plants struggle. The stem plants back there are doing a little bit better. Now some of them aren't getting quite enough light, and then also there's like transition and stuff. But this tank has seemed to kind of struggle with the stem plants, but that Java fern keeps doing amazing. So I'm thinking it's mainly the Java fern that is sucking up everything, mainly those phosphates, and preventing the other stuff from growing. Because like the crypts won't grow. This cardinal plant is doing okay, but it grows so slow. I'm getting some waterborne roots now, so I'm gonna trim that here in the future and replant it. But when you get those waterborne roots like that, that generally means that your stem plants are struggling trying to get more nutrients. Yep, exactly. The Java fern is taking all the nutrients. I'm gonna cut a whole bunch of this Java fern out of here. Like not completely. I'm not gonna destroy the scape at all, but like that bit over here that's kind of hanging off, this like extra bit that's in the middle, I'll cut that out and I'll add that into my African cichlid tanks. Or maybe I'll take the Java fern out of here and transition it into the Brackish tank. But like I got Java fern for days. In fact, all the Java fern that you see in all my other tanks came from this tank. This is my first like fish tank that I set up, and the tank looked completely different when I set up the first scape like a year and a half, almost like 2 years ago now. But like it, man, I love this tank, and it's right in my bedroom. I wake up to this tank every morning, and my little buddy Beto over here. Everybody say hi to Jackie. She's a really good friend of mine. And when I say a really good friend of mine, I mean like an actual, like really good friend of mine. Like she lives local to me. Like we hang out like relatively all the time, as much as we can in these pandemic times. And recently she moved a little farther away from me, so I haven't been able to see her and her husband and her little boy as much. But Jackie's a really awesome person. She makes a whole lot of really cool stuff, like soaps and beard oils and candles and all this other stuff. So if you're wanting some really cool homemade products that are functional, smell amazing, and are just awesome, like check out Abducted by Fire. That's her well, gosh, Jackie, I don't know if you still have, your Instagram and all that stuff, but she's got an Etsy. She at least used to have an Instagram. It's Abducted by Fire. Check it out. Really awesome stuff. Now, speaking of awesome stuff, let's take a trip out my back door. And I realize now that sounded a little weird, but it's getting dark here in the St. Louis, Missouri area, so I got to get out here now. It's also windy, so if you hear a lot of crazy sounds or whatever, that's what's going on. The pond is doing awesome. Fish are great. I got some rescued goldfish, and they're doing awesome. The water lilies are coming back. As you can see, I got some leaves. I brought some frog bit out here. It's doing great. The cattails that are still here from the previous owner of my house, doing awesome. Last year I actually got one of their small little flower things, but it died off. Would snails help with algae? Yes, snails help with algae, but snails also produce waste of their own. So, well, not all snails help with algae, but a lot of different snails help with algae. Uh, but yeah, they do produce their own waste, so you got to be careful with snails. And every algae eating thing out there also produces its own waste. The best algae eating living creature that you can get would be the Amano shrimp, because they barely produce any waste, but they're just like a huge cleanup crew. They'll get your algae, they'll get excess food. I've seen a video of them snatching a piece of food right out of a fish's mouth. But those of you who haven't seen my video of my garden, this is what it looks like now. Ooh, stuff falling out of trees. So I got my spicy peppers. I was talking about basil being like the best plant earlier, right? So I kind of stand by that. Basil is one of the best plants. Now, this is a lemon basil. It's got a really, really nice citrusy smell. I wish we could send smells through the internet, but we don't have that technology yet. Oh, man. So good. It smells like an actual lemon. It's amazing. And that's one of my basils. And then I have this African blue basil, which produces a whole lot of flowers. This one is a little bit tougher. It's not really one of those basils that you want to eat. You totally could. It has a really nice. The smell is kind of hard to describe, but it just reminds me of bologna, like when you buy that just standard, beef bologna from the grocery store. That's what it smells like. It's really interesting though, and it gets these really nice pink, kind of bluish colored flowers. Great for bees. Great for bees. That's two basils. Now, I also got this purple ruffled basil. Beautiful, beautiful dark purple color. Another kind of smell similar to the African blue basil, almost kind of similar to the bologna. But this one has a little bit more of a darker smell, kind of like you candied the bologna with like a licorice almost, but it's really, really nice. And then I have your standard sweet basil, which is one of the ones that I brought inside because I wanted to do 3 and 3, but for some reason there was 4 stems of the sweet basil, so I brought that one inside. But this, is your standard like sweet basil. It's got that, standard basil type smell, the ones that you get in your tomato and basil bisque. Like that's what you got right there, your sweet basil. And then another basil, I got my red Thai basil. This one here is really nice. The smell is like a spicy black licorice. This one's awesome. This one has like a red flower when it produces. All the basils flower except for the columnar basil. So the columnar basil is it just continues to grow, and it grows like straight up like a column. That's how it got its name. But basil is such an awesome plant. There's so many varieties. They all have their own smell, and I love basil. And there's like 1,000 different types of basil. I got my corn. It's transitioning. It's been, windy yesterday and today, so some of these plants are gonna have a little bit of a struggle going from the greenhouse to here. Though they do run fans and stuff in the greenhouse, it'll be a little tough. I got 2 tomatoes. Now, I know I've talked to Travis about, chalupa no tomatoes, about how I don't like tomatoes and stuff. Well, I mean, I just don't like to eat tomatoes as they are, but I like to use tomatoes to cook with, and I'm gonna try making my own like a barbecue sauce. Maybe make my own ketchup this year or something. We'll see. But this is a black cherry heirloom tomato. I got it buried nice and deep with tomatoes. They're a really, really awesome, interesting plant. They kind of grow in between a vine and a shrub, where they'll start to grow vertical, but as they get taller, they'll just fall over and they'll grow along the ground as a vine. The thing that's crazy about tomatoes is the entire stem is just like covered in these teeny tiny little hairs. Now, every single one of those hairs, if you put it in the ground, it becomes a root. So when you're transplanting your tomatoes, you want to plant them nice and deep, because then you get a really thick root structure and that stem gets thick. Everybody likes a thick stem, right? So that's the trick with tomatoes. And I have another tomato plant over here. This is another heirloom. This is a yellow pear tomato. I wanted to get some more interesting tomatoes. Ooh, dried tomatoes. Dried tomatoes are a little bit different, Um, they also had another type of tomato that I almost got. It was called a Jamaican purple tomato or something like that. I almost got it, but then I thought about the fact that I don't like tomatoes. So I was like, why would I grow 3 tomato plants if I don't like to just eat tomatoes? So that's why I kind of decided against that one. And then I did start some of my own pepper seeds inside, but I started them a little late, kind of got sidetracked with fish and stuff. So I did, and I plan on buying them anyway, but I bought 2 really nice sized pepper plants. This one right here is a Trinidad Scorpion, Scoville rating of 1.2 million on the Scoville scale. And this is the ghost pepper, your standard ghost pepper, the former world's hottest pepper, at like 1 million on the Scoville scale. So I've grown ghost peppers for the last several years, or last couple years. And last year I got started late and just got behind and all this stuff. I didn't get any produce from my peppers, but I started them all from seed myself last year. And like I said, I just started too late. Ghost peppers, Trinidad Scorpions, these really spicy peppers have a long gestational period. It takes like 150 to 200 days to go from seed all the way to produce ready to be picked. So you can't like start them now. You have to start them like 2 months ago. So that's the big thing with these spicy peppers. I love banana peppers. I get the Hungarian wax peppers, which are a hot banana pepper, and I like to grow them out to get some different colors. So I'll keep some with that nice yellowy green color. I'll get some that are a darker yellow. I'll get some that are full orange, and then I'll even let some go to full red. And then I'll cut them up. and then I'll pickle them, and then I'll just shake it all up so you get a nice assortment of beautiful color in this jar of pickled peppers that they go great on hot dogs, they go great on burgers, they go great on everything. And you'll be seeing all about that if you continue to follow my channel. This is my blackberry area. It's just been growing like crazy. This is like double the size that it was when I moved in, and man, it's awesome. It's starting to rain, so I'm not going to be out here too much longer, but my mint in this pot, I originally had peppermint, sweet mint, and chocolate mint in rows. So it was peppermint, sweet mint, and chocolate mint. 2 years later, I now have chocolate peppermint. So they hybridize on themselves. I've had it spreading out as I've been moving the pot around. I now have it growing all the way over here into my yard. So I'm just letting the mint just grow all out into my yard. I love mint. And then every time I mow my yard and I mow over it, my yard just smells like a York peppermint patty. It's amazing. Would I get a dog? I've had a dog at the house before. I lived on and off with my roommate from Iraq for like 7 out of the last 10 years. And he just, it was time for him to go. And I don't mean that in a bad way or anything. It was just that time. Like, I got set up in my house. I got myself in a pretty good place. So he moved back down south near like down in the Missouri-Arkansas border area. And he's building his tiny home down there. So I've thought about getting a dog. If I get a dog, I need to get a dog. I cannot get a puppy. I just don't have the time, the energy for a puppy. I got a full-time job. I'm taking care of all these fish in my garden, my yard, everything. Like, I live on my own. I do not have the ability to take care of a puppy. I just don't. That's something that I can admit. So if I get a dog, I'm going to get a rescue dog, one that's already, trained, ready to go, just, a little broken like me, and, I'll take care of them. But before I go inside, as it's starting to rain on my phone, I did pick up a pink variegated lemon. It's going to grow to be like yellow with green stripes on the outside and pink on the inside. We'll see if I can keep it growing here in St. Louis, Missouri. Gonna have to bring it inside over winter or else it'll just die and freeze. I did lose my lemon tree from last year, but like I said, with everything that I've done in the past, like, I know my mistakes and I learn from my mistakes. That's something that I'm like actually proud of with myself. Like, I'm a do it, fail, do it, maybe fail again, but I always learn from my mistakes. I rarely make the same mistake twice, if ever. But this is my little bonsai tree I'm working on. You'll see some stuff about that too. Okay, well, the rain's not too bad. Let's walk over to the other side of my yard here, to my little blueberry section. So I got my blueberries, and I need to clean up this area. It's just being taken over by everything else, and it's kind of preventing the blueberries from getting their full potential. But I already got some little berries growing. It's awesome. Blueberries, they start producing early in the year, so blueberries are great. That hard freeze that we had here in St. Louis did end up killing my blueberry bush that I had in my pot. I was working on an air layering on it too. That might have just caused a little bit of an additional stress that caused, its death over winter. But I planned to do a whole video on air layering and cloning of my blueberry bushes. But like I said, it didn't make it. So that's not going to happen, at least not anytime super soon. Maybe next year I'll do a video on air layering. Um, my Viking berry bush is doing great. These are edible, but apparently they have a little bit of a bitter, kind of sour taste. But I thought it would be interesting to, maybe make some mead with some different type stuff. Like, because I'm planning to make more mead. I got my blueberries, got my Viking berries. I didn't even show you guys my gooseberry shrub that I got over here. Gooseberries are related to currants. They're basically a green currant versus a red or a black currant. It's got a little bit of green on it. It's gonna take a little bit to transition, but it'll go. I always get nervous about buying those little sticks from Home Depot and stuff, but this one did have a little bit of green on it, so we'll see how it goes. And I do have some Suffolk Red grapes. I need to build myself another like trellis thing. I'll probably build like a little arbor, like right there in that section, and just have like a nice little arbor right here, and just have my grapes just growing all over that, and just pick grapes from the arbor. I don't have bees yet. I was over at my sister's house the other day. I picked up some elderberry from her house. This one's not transitioning very well, but I think it's going to make it. If I can't make this plant come back to life, I'm turning in my my green thumb. I'm struggling with elderberry, and it makes me mad because elderberry is native to St. Louis and it's native to Missouri, and I should be able to grow it with ease, but I keep struggling with it. I don't know if I'm over fertilizing it. I don't know what. I haven't fertilized this one at all. All I did was water it in. It's still going through the stress of being dug up, and it sat out overnight uprooted. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm gonna have elderberries, I'm gonna have blueberries, I'm gonna have blackberries, I'm gonna have grapes, I'm gonna have gooseberries, I'm gonna have strawberries, and then I'm gonna have bees. And then I'll be able to make my mead. Exactly, Bob. I will have bees for honey to make mead. Pond's doing absolutely fantastic. This is blue Hitticoat lavender. It's a couple years old. I'm gonna need to transplant it. There's not enough nutrients in this pot anymore. It is coming back to life. It's gonna be fine, but sometime this spring, summer, I'm gonna transplant it into another pot, get it some fresh potting soil. It's gonna do great. Got citronella geranium. I don't know if it actually does anything against the mosquitoes. It does smell good. I do plan to make my own bug spray. If you use, citronella, lavender, the peppermint, vinegar, and some other simple ingredients, depending on what you want and what overall smell you want, you can make some really nice holistic bug spray that's not going to do any harm to the environment. Trying to catch up. Exactly, Travis. See, like I said, I don't like tomatoes, but I do want to try to make my own ketchup this year. I've had great success with making my own marigolds. Oh, yes. Marigolds are all right when it comes to bugs. They're more functional against like small vermin. But in my experience, I think marigolds are garbage. I've never had marigolds actually work to keep the rabbits away. Well, here comes the rain real bad, so I'm going back inside. The tree frogs are starting to come out too. Ugh. Well, I barely have any functionality now on my phone because it's completely wet. I usually just use mint, but I don't even care. Exactly, and I love mint. Absolutely love mint. Ugh. Mint is one of my favorite herbs. I, I like to eat mint. I like to put mint in my coffee. I like to put mint in, I like mint and rosemary in my shampoo. I Mint is such a great and versatile plant too. Mint is one of my favorite plants. But peppermint oil, like if you get actual peppermint oil, that is a really great way to keep like ants and other little crawly bugs from inside your house. If you just put like a nice little thin strip of coconut oil right at the lining of like your windows and your doors and stuff like that, and you just kind of replace it every so often, like it kind of keeps them from even coming into your house. Mint is great for nausea. Mint is great for a lot of things. Whoops. I think my phone is. Hold up here. There we go. Ah, hold on a second. I'm going to have to wipe everything down on my phone. So if I lose everybody, that's why. All right. I'm very sorry if that came through on my camera and gave anybody a seizure. But now I can actually use my phone screen. Okay. You gotta wipe the phone. Yeah. Great stream to watch while you are practicing. While I'm practicing what? What? I don't understand that. Trimmings of Java ferns. Yeah, yeah. I have my Java fern going crazy, and I wasn't necessarily saying, you know, selling my Java fern per se. Oh, oh, I'm a great stream to listen to while Chewy's practicing his guitar. Okay, now I understand. Got it. Context matters. I might have just missed something in chat on context, but yeah, that makes perfect sense now. But what I was getting at was that all the Java fern that I have in this tank has just grown and probably quadrupled. Gosh, I think most of this originally came from one piece of Java Fern that was like that size. Maybe no. I had like this much Java Fern. And then it grew bigger, and so then I cut it. And then both of those pieces grew bigger, so I cut it again. And that's how I learned about, Java Fern and how it like grew and all that stuff. And because I originally had it like wedged into substrate, and it was doing okay because it was just gravel. But yeah, if it was like a heavier, thicker substrate, it would have totally choked it out, and I would have lost it completely. But it's doing great now. I wedged that one just right into a hole that was in that piece of wood, and now I got this one leaf here that's popping out the bottom. I actually got two of them there, and I'll probably cut both of those leaves away just because I like the way it looks, popping out the top like that. And I'll be cutting, all this out, but all the Java Fern that's grown out of here has gone into all the tanks, that are in here. So like that piece of Java Ferns from that tank, all that Java Ferns from that tank, all that Java Ferns from that tank, all that Java Ferns from that tank, and all that Java Ferns from that tank. So Java Fern grows really well here in the St. Louis hard water. So if anybody wants some Java Fern, I guess I got plenty. So, maybe you get in contact with me through my email. I believe on my channel I do have my email listed for business inquiries. So if you are interested in some Java Fern, I can get some for you. If anybody's wondering what's going on with the net in this tank, and I haven't, you haven't heard me answer it before, I net train my baby African cichlids. So I get them used to the net and its general presence, and I kind of move it around here and there to where basically like they don't really care about the net. Like they're aware of it, but for the most part, like it's pretty easy to just scoop them up. It's a little hard to do while I'm filming, of course. But that's just kind of what I do. I move the net around, do that thing, look at all the dang frog bit and duckweed that's growing out of there. Yeah, I get them just kind of used to the presence of the net, and I haven't been as up on it with this batch and the second batch that's in here too, as much as I did with the first batch. But as you can see when I come over here, it doesn't even matter about the net training I did in the past. Once you start taking some of their friends away, they're still going to hide anyway. Yeah, that's what I have is 14 fish tanks and an indoor pond and an outdoor pond. And I got all my garden and all that stuff. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7, that's 8, and that's 9. That's 10. That's 11. That's 12. That's 13. And that's 14. Then, like I said, I got my little indoor pond here that's completely covered in algae. But the white cloud minnows like it. They love to swim through all that stuff, and there's a couple golden white clouds in there too. Those are the ones that are really gonna pop through on camera. The plants are kind of, struggling a little bit because of the amount of algae that's been growing. Uh, but I just need to do some maintenance on this guy for real. And I say that like every time I show this pond. But it's just kind of going through its phase right now. It's been set up for like 4, 5 months now, so it's just kind of going through that phase. But this tank, though, these guys, is a Nimbochromis fuscataneatus. This German red that's not looking so good. Think I need to take him out. That might be hole in the head. I'm not sure if it's just a sore or if it's hole in the head. It's probably hole in the head. I don't know if it's contagious or not. It doesn't seem to be. None of the other fish are having that problem. So I'm going to have to take him out, clean him up. I don't know if I'll ever settle on a regular stream time. But thanks for letting me know, Bob. I do have, my fish tuber account. How's it going? Mike, Florida Fish Rescue. But I had been streaming on Friday, but then like these last couple Fridays during the time that I would be streaming, I've been, shopping and gardening and doing all this other stuff for videos. And I kind of said in Terry's live stream at one point that I need to stop, hopping in on everybody's stream so much, and I need to make more content. Because I was making a lot of content there for a little bit, getting at least a video out once a week. And then I just kind of stopped there for a little bit. I ran out of ideas, and I just started kind of live streaming. And so then I was just like, instead of filming a video, I was just live streaming and talking with people and hanging out. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I had to start making some more content. So now I'm, past my lull. I got my gardening stuff going on. So I got plenty more content to make, and I got plenty of more ideas. It was just, waiting for the right time. I didn't want to just sit there and film, a whole bunch of updates on my fish tanks per se. Like, I wanted more interesting content, I guess, and not that there's anything wrong with tank updates. Julia, look. Oh yeah, Julia. Oh, the Julie. That the Julia Chromis ornatus, the ornate Julie. Yeah. Tanganyika cichlid. So that's the Tanganyika cichlid. I believe the Nimbochromis fuscataneatus is a Tanganyika hap. And then that is a Statotilapia nubilis, which is a Victorian hap technically, but their peacocks and haps are a lot smaller in Victoria. But they got just as big of an attitude. That guy, I called him Timmy because he was teeny tiny, but at one point he was the boss of the tank. being like, as big as this little girl right here compared to, like him. He was the boss of the tank. It was crazy. So he's tough Timmy. And man, like he just had like such a little personality too, where he came right up to the glass and would just look at me like face to face, like he's doing right now. Like a lot of the other fish just go, side to side, side to side. Is he's just like, I'm gonna come up and I'm just gonna stare right at you. But since these guys are, starving, let's go ahead and get a nice little feeding frenzy. Hey, the food's not over there. It's gonna be right here. There you go. It's a rainbow of fish. So I've tested out the theory, and I kind of agree with it now after, trying to introduce different cichlids of different sizes and seeing how they do and stuff. I think the best way to do it is to add them when they're small enough to basically not be worried about as far as dominance goes, but you want them to be big enough to not be food. So as long as they can't be swallowed by another fish, I think it's a great time to add them into your tank because they're not really gonna, try and fight for that dominance and stuff. Yeah, that yellow lab is nice. I think it's technically albino. It does have red eyes and there's no black where there would be the black on the dorsal fin as you see that stripe. It's like uh um cellophane almost. He's acting all tough because there's food. He's a big boss. He's a big boss. And obviously, she's a big boss. This guy's doing just fine. He's got nice looking lips. He's got the kissing lips. That's one of my babies from the first spawn that I had. That's a rescue, Mabuna. She, I'm not quite sure, probably a she, is doing fine. She was killing all the other fish and stuff in one of my customers' tanks, and so she surrendered it to me, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take it. I hope it doesn't kill all my fish. There's Valentine with a nice heart spot if she ever flips around. At least I think. I'm pretty sure she's a she. I was hoping it was going to be a boy, but I'm pretty sure that she's a she. Rainbow shark being all tough. I love rainbow sharks. After having one for so long, I might do a little species profile on the rainbow shark, I've had it long enough where I understand their mentality, what they do, how they swim, the fact that you definitely don't want it with peaceful fish. As you can see, like he's chasing that Johanny around like it ain't nobody's business. I don't know why he's got a thing against the blue fish. Like it's the electric blue Johanny this time. I had a yellowtail ACI in here before, which is, the blue body and the yellow tail. And he would always chase the yellowtail ACI. And I think eventually it was actually him that stressed it out enough to where it didn't make it. Like, it just kind of died all of a sudden. All of a sudden, like, I came home from work and it was doing some weird swim bladder stuff, doing some spinnies and all that. And I tried to, quarantine it and take care of it, but it didn't make it. I love cichlids too, man. Cichlids are great. This guy is such a nice breeder. He just keeps giving me more fry. Yeah, exactly. They pick a fish and they run it to death. And I think maybe the blue like reminds them of black, and it kind of like reminds them kind of their own kind, because they're pretty aggressive against their own kind. I'm not 100% sure. But the yellow-tailed ACI was like bigger than he was. But he keeps growing, man. He's getting nice and big. There. He's like, well, let's see. That guy is nice and big. Jesus, man. Leave the poor guy alone. Dude, all my lights and stuff on a lot of my fish tanks are starting to turn off. So they go ahead and flip around here. And I'm going to take a seat and I'm going to kind of open it up to the chat here. And let's see. Anybody have like any questions about, gardening, fish, plants, my future plans, anything like that? 9 inches? Holy cow. See, they're only like labeled to get up to like 6 inches, which it's like, that's not true. You're at least the third person that's told me they've had one get bigger than like 6 inches. And I don't know. I think it's the red-tailed shark that gets like 6 inches. The rainbow shark gets like 8 or 9, and then you get the black shark, which gets like over a foot long. Have I ever tried growing cantaloupe? I have not. We did grow some melons when I was a kid. So yes, okay, I did grow cantaloupe when I was a kid. We also grew honeydew and watermelons. It's a great vining plant. It grows very similar to, all your other like melons. If you've ever gone like pumpkin picking or something like that, like that's how it grows. It grows on the ground like a big old vine. The flowers are actually also edible when it comes to, most of those melons and stuff. It's kind of more of like a delicacy. I personally don't like to eat the flower, but some people like it. Are those OB peacocks? Yes. Yes, that big nice spotted one was an OB peacock. There was another one in there that had some spots. There was an OB peacock. And then the female that I have holding right now in another tank is also an OB peacock. And so the two first spawns that I had were actually an OB crossed with a strawberry peacock. Um, and so they have like very minimal spotting, if any. But my most recent spawn and the spawn that she's holding in her mouth right now are actually both OB, because it's an OB female. The other female before was a strawberry. So I'm really excited to see how these babies look when they grow, because he's got some really nice light oranges and a blue iridescence that comes out, and he's got really nice, like, his spotting is pretty much like 50-50, like black to orange. He's got a really nice spotting. Maybe not quite 50-50, maybe more like 60-40 orange to black spotting, which is nice. But the female is much more like 70 or 30-70 orange to black spotting. She's got a whole lot more black. And so I'm really excited to see what the babies come out like. If I'm gonna get some more blue ones, if I'm gonna get some orange ones, some really nice like spotted ones, if I'm gonna get any that are gonna be like black. Um, the main difference I've already noticed between the two spawns though is like the ones that were crossed with the strawberry, the babies were like orange pink when they were born right away. And when they grew bigger, once they got like an inch or so, is when I started to see some spotting. There was one that was like really small and it had that one big spot. And that's, Valentine, that still has that heart spot. And like I said, I thought it was going to be a male, ended up being a female. Totally fine. I'll still probably end up using her as breeding stock. But she's a really nice fish. But yeah, these new ones are actually coming out small, kind of gray, and they have the vertical stripes like you normally see on like baby African cichlids and the female Africans. So these are going to be ones that are going to be a mystery, and I'm not going to be able to really know what they're going to look like until they're an inch and a half, 2 inches. And I'm really excited, and I like being the floating head. Doo, 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 doo. And that is true. And then also, from my understanding, is the red-tailed sharks aren't as aggressive as the rainbow sharks. But yeah, an understocked tank definitely kind of helps, especially if he has like his own territory and stuff. But and the type of the size of the fish. Yeah, pencil fish stay on top, cory cats stay on the bottom and are just basically ignored by all fish. And then angel fish are just shaped completely different. So yeah, there's probably a lot involved with that. But when it comes to African cichlids, the best way to run it is overstocked, because there's just so much chaos going on to where they don't kill each other. It's weird how it's like more chaos causes less problems. Oh, it was a rainbow shark, not a red-tailed shark. Okay. There's a lot of different names for the same thing, and so it's a little confusing because there was, there's a rainbow shark, and it's also called a red fin shark, but then there's also the red-tailed shark. And so when somebody is like, I want a red fin shark, it's just like, are you talking about the rainbow shark or the red-tailed shark? Because both have red fins and both are called sharks. So it's kind of one of those things. See you, Lori. Have a good one. I'm going to be going for about 15 more minutes. We got Jess and Chubbs coming up after me, and I definitely don't want to cut in on their time. They got a really awesome show coming up tonight. So, we're all going to jump in on there and watch their show after I'm done. Andre, I don't know if I saw you popping into chat, but it's good to see you here. I see you in there now. How's it going, buddy? Yeah, breaking up site, all that stuff. Oh, tornado warning. I thought you were saying, bye. Chat moves so fast sometimes. Yeah, see, I mean, to each their own. I don't know what it's like where you're at, Lori. Everybody's got their own thing with tornadoes. I know California is like incredibly scared of tornadoes, but they have to deal with earthquakes all the time. But like here in St. Louis, you'll get some people that freak out by tornadoes, but most of us, and I'm one of those people that it's like, oh, cool, tornado warning. Let me step out on the front porch and watch it. It's a sight to see. I've chased a couple tornadoes down some of the highways and stuff. I got some really cool footage of a tornado during a lightning storm where you could just see the lightning striking and the tornado like being lit up by the lightning storm, and it was so cool. And like, but then like when I got home and I was like watching the footage, it was like crappy footage because it was like an old cell phone and stuff. And I mean, you know how those old cell phone videos are. Can never tell if it's, a UFO or an airplane because it's a old cell phone. I love tornadoes. I think tornadoes are great. Though I mean, the destruction of course sucks, you know, but I just like I think the science behind a tornado is just awesome. The high, the low pressure causing the vortex of the air. It's just crazy how it works. Got 2 generators ready. None of those in the UK. I think I'd pee my pants. Right? But see, what sort of natural disasters do you get in the UK? Like, do you have to really worry about anything? Like, I've never heard of a tsunami hitting England or Ireland or Scotland, any of the UK. Like, I've never heard of massive earthquakes. Definitely never heard of tornadoes. You guys don't have enough land mass to create tornadoes. Of the earth. You just don't get the same air currents and stuff. It's weird. What natural disasters do you guys have? Or do you have any? Is the UK just a magical place full of leprechauns and unicorns and rainbows? And I'm sorry if I offended you by combining Ireland and Scotland and England all together by saying leprechauns and unicorns and stuff. Flooding. Okay. I have to deal with flooding a lot here in St. Louis too. And a lot of the flooding that we get has also been like caused by man-made issues. So like, we've rerouted rivers and streams and stuff, causing these terrible valleys through levees and stuff. And then all of a sudden we got like flooding all the time. And Jack the Ripper. Yeah, you got Jack the Ripper in UK. So, speaking of Jack the Ripper, if anybody's wanting to, go down any rabbit holes tonight, what if, what if they never caught Jack the Ripper because Jack the Ripper was a female? What if Jack the Ripper was a female? What if she was a woman? What if? What if that's why they couldn't catch her? They were looking for the completely wrong suspect. And the world's most notorious serial killer was actually a woman. Think about it. Do some research. You might you might, you know, open your mind a little bit to some stuff. Yeah. If you mess with nature, she bites back. Exactly. And I kind of feel like humans in general, we just need to stop. Like, just stop. Every time we try and fix something, we just create another problem. So let's just stop. Like, stop trying to fix it. Because every single problem that we have was caused by you anyway. And I don't mean you, but I do mean you. You. You know who you are. It's all you. Exactly. It could have been a madam killing all the competition. And it does make a lot of sense, A little bit of jealousy, a little bit of, fixation, art, you know. There's there was a serial killer that basically like was killing people in order to do like anatomy work and like learning, from anatomy. And, to, continue on this little dark trail, like there's a lot of stuff that we learned from Nazi Germany through those horrible experiments that happened. So, I mean, we're all mad on some level. It's just, how mad are you? Well, right. They think they know who it is. But how many times have they said that they think they know who it is or who it was? It's a really interesting story, you know? And yeah, it's prone to doing things that men do, but just because men do it doesn't mean a woman couldn't do it. And just because, women normally do it doesn't mean a man can't do it too. Yeah. Beavers having to like see, I think we actually like destroyed a lot of our native beaver populations and stuff like that. Cause I know like there's beavers in Missouri, like, and there's bears in Missouri. There's all this stuff here in Missouri. You just don't really see it so much unless you're, in more of the outskirts of like the cities. I still live in like St. Louis County area, so I'm in the suburbs, but I get to see some pretty decent wildlife here. Nothing compared to what I've seen in other areas of the state and other areas of the country and then in other areas of the world. But I did, see one of the Missouri native tarantulas, and I saw the Missouri native scorpion and stuff like that. And one of these days I might, catch myself one of these Missouri tarantulas and take it home as a pet or something. Be pretty cool. Plenty of freaking beavers here. I'll send some beavers my way. No, I think we're doing all right with beavers now, actually. But yeah, see, I see foxes, coyotes, deer. Like, I see lots of different stuff. I don't see any deer directly where I live, which is nice for the most part. I'm not really having to worry about them going after my garden. I do have to worry about a couple neighborhood cats. I've already had a couple cats in my garden, so I'm glad I didn't decide to do catnip. I almost bought a lemon catnip and then like a standard catnip, but I didn't. Um, I'm glad I didn't get that catnip because I've already seen two cats hanging out in my garden, and hopefully they're just keeping other things away, which would be nice. But if I start to see like big chew marks out of some of my basils or whatever, I'm gonna have to do something. Now I did plan to eventually build like a little fence around my garden, kind of just hook it right into the wood that's going around the perimeter of my garden. Cats are meat eaters, but cats will chew the hell out of your plants. They love to chew on plants. They love to chew on plants, especially, catnip and stuff like that. I've had cats ruin my garden before. I've had my cat ruin some of my house plants before by chewing on it, especially some of my good stuff. Cats always find the good stuff and destroy it. But I love that little cat. Oh, no, I don't want to skip that asked about my tarantula. So I guess you missed a couple streams back, or maybe I didn't do it on my stream. Maybe I said it in somebody else's stream, but I lost my tarantula. I don't know what happened. Um, she was in her tank doing her thing, stanced out, you know, sat in the spot for a couple days. So I'm like, all right, cool. Got her some more crickets, threw a cricket in the tank, and she didn't budge. I'm like, what? Normally, if as soon as I throw a cricket in that tank, she'll strike at it if it falls near her. If it doesn't fall near her, she'll at least like move a little bit, be like, oh, cool, there's one in here. Let me get ready, you know. But yeah, she didn't budge, so I was like, that's really strange. So the next day, I, woke up. The cricket that I put into the container was dead, and she was just, still in her stance spot. So I kind of, just lightly blew into the tank just to get a little bit of air movement in there, because you definitely don't want to blow too hard, but just a little bit of air movement causes their hairs to twitch and stuff, and so that'll cause them to move, Twitch, different stuff, and she didn't budge still. So I reached in there with my tweezers and kind of poked at her. Didn't do anything at all, and so I moved her, and like Bob kind of has already hinted towards with the tainted cricket, like her abdomen was like kind of goo. So I think there was like a tainted cricket. Maybe one of the crickets had worms or something. I honestly just don't know enough about tarantulas to be able to like diagnose something like that. Um, I know a lot about their care and their mentality and, whether they're happy or they're not, but like telling if it has worms or something like that, like it's not like, a fish that gets ick or, a fish that gets bloat or something like that. It's not as obvious as it is with fish and some other things. And I lost her. And kind of understanding about the tainted crickets and stuff like that. I think that's how I lost my Chilean rose hair a year ago or 2 years ago. Whenever that was like 3 years ago that I lost my Chilean rose hair, I think. And same sort of thing, just in her cave, stanced out, didn't move for several days. Checked on her, still didn't move, and just gone. So, and that's apparently, a pretty common thing when it comes to, store-bought crickets and stuff. And, you know, we try our best. We're constantly sweeping out those crickets. We're cleaning that cricket container, but we don't breed the crickets ourselves. We don't know what, those crickets are coming in like, and we don't treat the crickets or anything like that. I don't even know how to treat crickets for worms necessarily and all that stuff. So, yeah. I might get another tarantula sometime in the future. I'm also thinking about maybe getting a reptile. I'm not quite sure. Hey there, Mike's Aquatics and Things. Great to see ya. Oh, everybody, it's Jess time. It's time for Jess. So, I'm going to go ahead and end my stream now. Thanks everybody for popping in. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, learning about what I'm up to, talking about my garden and my fish. Thanks everybody for subscribing to my channel and liking and commenting on things and watching my videos and stuff. I'll see everybody over at Jess's stream. Let's go ahead and do a hashtag of fresh greens. Let's do hashtag fresh greens as we jump into Jess's stream. I'll see everybody over there. Have a great night, guys. Thanks for tuning in.